So in the previous lectures, you have worked with alerts. Now I want to show you a different type of alert. So I'm going to click this button. Now this time we get an alert with two buttons. And we can use this to capture a response from the user. We also have what we call action sheet. So here's an example. So an action sheet allows the user to choose from several buttons. Now let's see how we can display a confirmation box as well as an action sheet. So here on our main page, I've got a simple button and handled the click event. In the code behind, in the click handler, first I want to show you how to display a confirmation box. So we still use the display alert method. This method has two overloads. One that takes 3 parameters, which is the one you have used before, and the other that takes 4 parameters. Note the return type of this overload. It's task of bool, which means when we await this method, we'll get a Boolean result. In contrast, the other overload, its return type is task, like void. So now let's try the other overload and display a confirmation box. For the title parameter, I'm going to use warning. For the message, I'm going to use are you sure? Next, we set the label for the accept button. Yes. And finally, the label for the cancel button. In this case, no. Now we await the result and then store it here. Response. And obviously, because we have awaited this method, we need to add async here. Now let's say if the user taps yes, we want to do something with it. So if response is true, then we can display another alert. Done. Message is your response will be saved. And OK. Now here we have a yellow underline because we have not awaited this method. In this case, whether we add await or not, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make a difference because there is no code after this line. If we had some piece of code here and we wanted this code to be executed after the user taps the OK button, then we had to await this call. But in this case, it doesn't really make a difference. I'm going to leave it here anyway. So let's run the application. All right, click. Are you sure? Yes. Here's the second alert. Now let's see how we can display an action sheet. So I'm going to delete this code because it's pretty simple. Now to display an action sheet, we use display action sheet method. The first parameter is the title. Let's just set this to title. The second parameter is the label for the cancel button. Most of the time we use cancel, and you will see where it appears in a second. So cancel. Now, if one of our buttons is going to be destructive, in the sense that when we tap it, something is going to be deleted, we can add that button here, and it will be rendered with a different style. So it appears as red. I'm going to add delete here. And if you don't have that button, you simply pass null here. And finally, the fourth parameter. Here we have params string array, which means you can pass either a string array or add as many arguments as you want. So let's say I want to display 3 buttons here. Copy link, message, and email. Now finally, we need to await this call and store the response here. This response will be a string, and that's the label for the button that is tapped. So we can display it in an alert. Display alert, response. I'm going to pass this variable here, and OK. Again, we have this yellow underline because we have not awaited this call. I'm just going to add it to make the warning go away. Now let's look at the result. So click. All right, look. Here we've got the title. We could set this to choose, options, whatever. Note that the delete button is rendered as red because we passed it as the third argument to display action sheet. And the name of this parameter, as you see, is destruction. So it's the label for the destruction button. Next, we have 3 buttons, copy link, message, and email. And finally, our cancel button. So the second argument we pass to display action sheet, that's the label for the cancel button. And that's why I said most of the time we use cancel here. Now, if I tap copy link, you can see the response in an alert. Now, in a real world application, depending on the response, you can do different things. So this is all about displaying pop-ups. Next, I'm going to talk about adding a toolbar to your application.